So what's going on, guys? As we just saw, the fight card just wrapped up, not even completely done yet. It just ended. Literally, I think the post-fight wrap-up show might have just kicked off on Fox. And I thought with the performance like that and with the card we saw, it warranted a little post-fight discussion, just a little bit to put things in perspective for a lot of people who watch the sport but kind of watch for name value and highlights, and they missed the subtlety. So let's go ahead and look at what we saw in this fight that really sealed it, and it really put a lot of things on notice, you know what I mean? So let's take a look. So we had the first round, Max Holloway versus Bryant Ortega, kind of what you would expect it to be, kind of similar to a lot of Max Holloway's fights. He doesn't really start to like amp up on people early, but he does come at you. He doesn't sit back and wait, but he does come at you. And the one thing that I noticed very early with his style, that I've already known about his style, but it was really apparent in the first round, is he's very defensive when he's being offensive and not as defensively cognizant when he's just strictly defending. So if he's throwing a series of punches, he's going to slip something that you throw in the mix of that. So if he goes 1-2, he's waiting for you to throw a 2. He's going to immediately circle off that 2 and hit you with a 2-1 as he switches stances. That's kind of his thing. He's very defensive in those moments, and he makes really fast snap decisions in those moments that he's being defensive. So there was a series where it was really noticeable because Bryant Ortega tried to knee him somewhere in like the second or third round, but Ortega tried to knee him and he came in with a 1-2, and Ortega lifted his leg. He immediately stopped, pulled his head back, and then reassessed the situation and backed out. But then there's other instances where Ortega walked at him and threw whatever hook he threw, and it would just land clean. And as we progressed through the fight, round 1 and round 2 were very similar. Ortega trying to get his footing underneath him, trying to land some shots, trying to throw some stuff. And the difference between Max Holloway and Bryant Ortega is Bryant Ortega believes that he has one-shot knockout power, so he throws his shots with full ambition, full tenacity. He throws it with mustard and ketchup on it because he's looking to, he in his mind, that's going to be the one that puts you down, and he just throws the next one that he's hoping to put you down with. And when he was doing that in the first 2 rounds, Max Holloway was making him look silly, making him miss, throw a combination, slip underneath something, you know, let something here or there kind of come through, but then kind of taunt him a little bit just to let him know, hey, you're here with me, you're in my octagon, you're gonna deal with my thing. And there was a thing that Bryant Ortega wasn't really paying attention to, is he wasn't defending his body well, especially in the first and second round. And Max Holloway was really kind of mixing it high-low, slipping in and out of stuff, hitting him with body shots, giving it to him here, giving it to him there, shutting down the takedown, shutting down the jiu-jitsu, and just immediately going to the body and coming back up to the top. So when we get in the third round, the difference is it's almost like a moment of it's almost like Max Holloway had a moment where he was like, okay, I clearly am not a knockout puncher. And he started to slow his offense down a little bit, and he started to like not land as often. And even when he landed, Ortega was just kind of walking through the shots because they weren't hurting him, and Ortega was walking through the shots and bombing off. And some of the shots looked like they hurt Bryant, it looked like they hurt Max Holloway, but the difference here is there's just this level of grit and determination that Max Holloway has, where he doesn't necessarily show you he's being hurt by the shots, and he doesn't change his behaviors based upon that. He still fights you the same way, still pressuring, still slipping as he's moving in, still being offensive but defensively minded when being offensive. But he was getting hit because, like I said earlier, he's very defensive when he's offensive, but he was just kind of like, he doesn't think you can hit him, so he just kind of like, shots hit him and he just kind of lets them happen. But he's not like, he doesn't always get affected by the shots that do come back, because he usually puts himself in such a good position that even when something does land, it can't be a hard shot because of where it was thrown from. So he never really like worries about it, so to speak. So that's kind of what he was doing, and it kind of was, you know, biting him in the ass in the third round, because Ortega was hitting him with hard shots. See, Ortega is not as technical of a striker as Max Holloway. So if you look at it in terms of video game stats, if there was a stat called technique and a stat for power, like power and technique were different. Technique is how efficient you can do things and how wise you do them, how you know, economic you are with your abilities, and how resourceful and crafty, the angles you cut, the nuance to your striking. Technique would be that stat. And Max Holloway has a lot of technique, but he doesn't necessarily have a lot of power. He has power, but it's not one shot, pop you in the face, you're on the ground, sleep, snoring, wheezing. You know, it's not that type of power. It's more of a, I hit you when you're not trying to be hit. You know, when you think that you're walking out of the pocket safely, I just throw a straight punch as soon as you get at the range that you feel comfortable at, and I just keep hitting you every time you think that you don't, every time you're like trying to get that rest and reprieve. When I see you breathe in, you inhale to try to, you know, reset, bop, you're hit. You go to reset, bop to the body, reset, hit in the face. That's kind of his thing. It's like a picking, it's like a nagging striking, like a nagging power. And because he moves in, and as he's moving in, you go to retaliate because he hits you with these nagging shots. And when you go to retaliate, he steps off to the side and hits you with more, or slips the other way, changes stances, hit you with some more. That it's that Lomachenko, like that shifting, you know, that real like Mike Tyson style shifting on the inside to make you miss stuff when you feel comfortable, when you feel like you're at range to fire back a counter. That's when he's slipping. But then when he backs out of the pocket, and that's kind of when he like gets to the point where he's like, okay, you can't hit me. The one thing he wasn't factoring in for against Ortega was that Ortega is long, does have long arms, and will push forward. Not the most technical, not the cleanest, not the most efficient, but he will push forward and he will hit you with shots. He's not gonna throw something looping or big that's not gonna find you at all. He's gonna hit you with something that's predictable but long and got a lot of stink on it. Like he's coming at you trying to take your head off, and you saw that a lot in the third round. But Max Holloway called a shot going from third to fourth. He looked a little beaten. He was getting kind of bruised up in this third round. His face was getting really messed up. But the championship medal and the knowledge that the data that he picks up is what really showed itself true. He picks up a lot of data on you. He takes in a lot of information. He sees the things you do. He sees the things you're not doing, and then he starts to capitalize. So fourth round, he comes out like a house on fire. He immediately hits him with a 1-2. Ortega starts to try to get back into the rhythm that he was in. He starts to try to redirect from the third round. He starts to try to keep that on that, you know, redirect the whole overall outcome of the fight to be in the path that he was creating in the third round. But immediately he starts getting battered with body shots, battered with shots up top. He goes for the mix up. He tries to defend. You know what's crazy? All the body shots that landed, not once did I see an uppercut come up the middle while he was throwing a hook to the body that rocked him instantly. For all those people who love the game, let's be real, that never happened. He immediately got pieced up to the body. Every time Holloway got it within range, he completely shut down the ability for him to throw shots, would land some stuff, get close enough to hit body shots, rip body shots, immediately put him back at the range, step off to the side, rip some more shots up top, hit him back to the body. And Ortega was desperately looking for a way to get some space, get some breath, and he just clamped down on him like a vice and just immediately put the pressure on him, put the pace on him, didn't let him breathe, didn't let him think, didn't let him gasp for air. He shot for some panic takedowns. At one moment he got hit with something, and then he just like fell for a takedown. He didn't even shoot for it. He didn't even look to be he wasn't even looking to get that takedown. The most effort you saw out of him was when he went for that ankle lock. He went for a heel hook ankle lock, and then he just gave up the foot. He let the foot go. He relinquished it, and Max Holloway forced him to stand back up and continue to beat on him and pound on him and put him through his paces. So in gist, the round was stopped. The fight was stopped. Spoiler alert, if you didn't see the main event, spoiler alert, he lost by fourth round. Well, technically he didn't get up for the fifth round, so it's a fourth round TKO, I guess, so to speak. He didn't get up for the fifth round. The cornerman, the doctor looked at his eye and said it wasn't fit to continue because in the fourth round he got bludgeoned, body, head, bludgeoned. His eye was swollen. He had a nice little patch that built up under his eye, really gross looking, and it was just full with blood, and he was just getting beaten up for no reason. And good on the doctor for stopping the fight, because there was absolutely no reason for him to go into the fifth and continue to get beat up. Same thing that happened with the Pettis-Ferguson fight. There was no reason for Pettis to come out in that third and continue to get hammered, because it just, you know, I mean, the hope for him to win, I mean, it was still there. Technically, he could have got his breath in 30 seconds. Max Holloway could have not gotten his breath, and he could have came out and bopped him right off the top of the fifth round and put him on the ground. You never know. This is the thing you never know. But because his face was so swollen and so beaten up, they just didn't let him continue. So what really happened tonight was we saw that there's levels to this game that people just tend to forget about. Obviously, the betting lines were tipped towards Holloway. Hype is one of those things. Like when people believe you're going to do something, they get behind it almost dataless. They get behind it just believing in in what parts of the story that they want to believe in. Max Holloway hasn't fought in a while, so it's easy to forget what he's good at, and it's easy to forget who he is as a fighter. And Ortega is the type of guy who will either finish you quick with the hands, finish you quick with the choke. He's the type of guy to latch on. If you were to like categorize what he does, he is a flash finisher. He will finish you with something instant. Max Holloway is not a flash finisher. He will punish you, pummel you, taunt you, pick at you until you have nothing left, and he'll just continue to pound you until someone stops it. If you don't fall and give up, someone's gonna stop it. He's gonna do that to you the whole way. And I don't know how people had it in their mind. Like in my head, when people asked me how I thought the fight was gonna go, I said two things: either Ortega's gonna finish him with something quick, some power over the top, or get a hold of his neck real fast. It's gonna be a flash finish, something quick, something like aggressive. Or Max Holloway's gonna do what Max Holloway does, and he gonna put him through his paces and give him a long night and give him a mean case of the beats. And that's what we saw. We saw that the level to this striking, Max Holloway is more technical, efficient, and ergonomic. He's not a power puncher. He's not a snap, punch you out, KO you. He is the type of guy who could throw 400 shots with little effort. He doesn't even start to, he starts to wane towards the end of the fourth round. You saw he was starting to slow down, and what power is there was starting to fall off even more, but the shots are still concussive. They're still bopping you upside your face and swelling your face up. They're not fly you across the ring Rumble Johnson shots, but they're pestering punches that are just landing with perfect technique, perfect turn on the wrist, perfect extension of the elbow and shoulder, shoving your head back, popping your neck up. You know, he's not a uppercut you, send you flying type of guy. He's more of an uppercut you on the chin, make your neck turn, and then hit you with a hook, turn it the other way real quick. So he's that type of guy. It was a real pestering beatdown is what you saw. So honestly, I mean, he proved to a lot of people that bodywork in MMA is not often seen, but it is effective. It's not like the video game where as soon as you throw a body hook, they throw a body uppercut as they see the hook come out, and they hit you, time you, and you're rocked and you're struggling to get your breath. And in that game, once you get rocked, you lose a little bit of stamina, you lose a little bit of chin, so it's a little harder for you to take a shot later. So it's not that. It's not that. If you take a wide open, putting your head down and just ducking, standing still, yeah, sure, an uppercut will send you packing. But if you're just moving your head at angles, cutting angles, slipping shots in here and there, you're safe as long as you're fighting within the parameters that make sense for inside boxing. And Max Holloway put on an inside boxing masterclass, same way he did against Jose Aldo in the first fight, same way as in the second fight. It just kind of has been a staple of his game. He fights you well from the outside, then he beats you up on the inside, and then gets you back at outside range before you can even react to what he did on the inside. And he's immediately tagging you with shots as you're trying to reset from what just happened. He'll flush you with a 1-2 to get in close, change stances, hit you with what used to be his 3, but is now his 4 to the body, 3 to the body. Then he'll step out, and as he steps out, you look to breathe, he hits you with a 2, and then he resets. Max Holloway is that type of guy. It's a real efficient, real technical masterpiece, and that's what we saw tonight. We saw a good fight, which is what I always ask for. Like I said previous, I don't like to see a guy walk out 16-second knockout. I'd rather see the best fight at their best, have their moments, both sides, and then someone definitively pulls away. I like a race. I like a race. I like to see a race. I mean, of course, everybody loves to sensationalize the knockout. The knockout is beautiful. When you see something like Rumble Johnson versus Glover Teixeira, you don't really need anything past that. You're like, okay, all right. You don't really need anything past that. Same thing with the Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. You see a 16-second knockout that tells a story. Doesn't tell the whole story. You don't know how that fight would have went if it had went 20 seconds longer. Same thing with the Rumble Johnson fight. You don't know what would happen 15 seconds from then, but what did happen was he got KO'd instantly. It's fun, it's memorable, it's something that you'll never forget, but it does, as a fight fan, a fan of technique, a fan of the art of fighting, it does leave you wanting. So, but we didn't get that tonight. We got a masterpiece. We got a fight that you can rewatch and pick up new things and learn new data. You got a lot of data tonight. So for my fight fans, I hope you loved it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you watched the fight. Hope you learned something, and see you next time.